All right, we have another great guest coming out. Please join me in welcoming Nate Morris, founder and CEO of Rubicon. Nate, come on down.
Great to see you.
Great to see you. Please join me. So maybe we should start off, Nate, by you telling everyone exactly what Rubicon does.
Well, Rubicon is a leading digital waste and recycling marketplace. And if you think about the traditional waste and recycling companies, these are big asset-heavy businesses that own big trucks and landfills. We're a completely digital model. We don't own any of that infrastructure. And we're running a play that's very similar to the way Airbnb's been successful, Uber's been successful. I often like to point out, Andy, that most of the big waste companies in our country, they were built prior to the internet. So we're bringing a digital model to one of the oldest challenges, arguably since the beginning of civilization, which is garbage.
Garbage. All right, let's, as Marv Albert used to say, or still says probably, so take us down into the model a little bit more. You have this dashboard, I guess, and clients sign up, but then who's actually doing the work?
Yeah, so if you look at the overall waste economy, there's a large portion of that economy that are these small mom and pop haulers and recyclers that are trying to get access to the accounts that we have at Rubicon, like Walmart or Apple or Starbucks. And they're able to win pieces of these large contracts through this digital marketplace. And really, we like to think about it as democratizing this big old industry that I remember telling my mother what I was going to do as an entrepreneur, and she was watching The Sopranos and thinking, what kind of business is this? And this has been a business that's been known for price creeps, price inflation, lack of transparency, lack of technology. I also like to point out that the founders of some of the biggest waste companies is also the founder of Blockbuster Video. So we felt at Rubicon it was time to bring the industry into the 21st century through technology.
So garbage is connected to climate change, sustainability, the health of our planet. What are the trends there, Nate, in terms of connecting to those very critical points?
Yeah, well, let me just see a show of hands. How many people have thought they've recycled something, but it actually goes to the landfill? And
you're not raising your hand, you're probably kidding yourself.
Right? So we all know that probably a lot of the stuff we think is getting recycled actually doesn't get recycled. And the reason why is that these large waste companies that have occupied our economy, they're in the landfilling business. They're trying to take your trash and put it into the landfill they own and then charge rent on that garbage every month. So they lack the financial incentive to be able to say, how do we extract the value that we're putting into the ground? And that's really what Rubicon is all about. When you don't own the truck and you don't own the landfill, we can be agnostic about how we look at that material, how we repurpose it, and how we can derive revenue for that for our customers and actually get these diversion rates higher. I'm sure we've all seen commercials that talk about zero waste, that talk about, hey, we're trying to get off the landfill model. This is the big environmental issue that doesn't get talked about in New York and doesn't get talked about in San Francisco. We like to talk about solar panels and EV, but where I'm from in Kentucky, trash has a big impact on a local community. If you get a landfill in your local community, it's going to hamper your economic long-term opportunity. There's going to be health consequences to that. These are the issues that are impacting the middle of the country. And I think waste is one of those leading environmental challenges that we've got to solve as a country.
So do you try to shrink landfills and just kind of do as much real recycling as you can? Is that a goal?
Well, what I want to point out is we still use the landfill model today, unfortunately, but our recycling rate is more than 2 times better than that of the big players. So we're on a mission to end waste and to slowly find ways to extract that commodity value out of the waste stream that's getting overlooked because of an archaic business model that's existed for the last 30, 40, 50 years.
And there's all this hardware, computer hardware and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of value, and I don't know, you're supposed to bring that to a Best Buy or something? That's what I always do.
Well,
is that right?
Electronic waste is one of the biggest challenges to our identity You look at one of the leading causes of identity theft, it is electronic waste. It's people harvesting your laptop, your phone. It's not people hacking into a server. Your devices that you leave behind are ending up in landfills all over the world and are being harvested for your information. So e-waste is one of these big challenges that I think is an environmental concern, but also a national security concern as well for our country.
Space. Is that the final frontier for waste?
Well, I think over the last few years, space waste has really come into the consciousness of all of us. And we're very proud at Rubicon that we're leading the way with our project Clear Constellation, which is a space prize to figure out how we get down this space debris, how we fix it. 1 millimeter of space debris can destroy $1 billion satellite. And you think about it, all over the world, countries, private companies are now sending things into space. They're now sending satellites. So there's more and more junk that's up there. And this is compromising America's ability to have its satellite technology perform and not be compromised by these space debris that could actually take down these satellites.
Do you mean at some point you could get a government contract to clear up the waste in space? Is that
I
what you're
hope
talking
so.
about?
Yeah, I hope so. I think that, when I talk to people in the government, they know very little about this. And so we said at Rubicon, as a private business, why don't we go out and create a competition, get some of the best folks from NASA, folks from the space industry, and figure out what we can do to begin this conversation and start having real dialogue at some of America's best institutions about how we fix this.
You're not talking about shooting waste in space.
No, we're actually trying to bring
Bring it back.
Yeah,
Okay, got
that's
it.
right.
Okay, to be clear.
Yeah.
And is your company global? Are there opportunities for you to expand beyond our borders?
Well, the great thing about garbage is it's everywhere, and it's only getting better as far as opportunity,
Yeah.
Unfortunately. And what I tell people is, regardless of what the Fed is doing, regardless of what is happening in the Ukraine, people have still got to get their trash picked up. And I think that's great news for every Rubicon shareholder. I think it's obviously a big challenge that we all have to solve. But we work today in 20 countries, and we also are working in over 80 cities around the United States. And one of the things that also comes with working with cities is we're helping to digitize the city infrastructure where we're driving lots of taxpayer savings. And I think that that's also very positive and really a breath of fresh air around transparency in a very opaque space.
Nate, you mentioned shareholders. You guys went public, what, in August?
Yes.
And,
yes.
But you have some marquee investors who I guess got in private rounds, like Paul Tudor Jones, Henry Kravis, Mark Benioff, Leo DiCaprio.
Yeah.
Leo DiCaprio. What did Leo DiCaprio and those guys see in your company and see in garbage?
Look, I think everybody gets excited about garbage. You know, it's even some of the best and brightest in business, they know it's got to happen. It's hard to bet against garbage. And I think that we've been so fortunate to have such an amazing cohort of these incredible marquee investors that are legends. My mother got most excited about Leonardo DiCaprio.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that, even though we don't always see eye to eye in politics, I think that he recognized that this is a big challenge. This is an environmental issue that we're not talking about enough. And every person in this room can do something about how much waste they produce. You can produce less waste just by being more cognizant of what you buy, how you repurpose, how you recycle. We all can do something here, and I think that that's what brings everybody together, regardless of where you are.
But don't you want them to have more waste? Isn't that good for your business?
Well, I think if we can create more opportunities for recycling, we're going to get paid for those commodities that we're helping to extract from the waste stream, which we then can pass to customers as savings, but also generate revenue on subscription models for Rubicon.
Now, Nate, you grew up and you have this, awesome resume. You're, high achiever, type A, alpha guy, Phi Beta Kappa and all that. What did your mom say when you said you were going into garbage? You had kind of the world in your hand.
She was shocked. To go from Princeton to trash, that's a tough conversation with Mom.
Right.
But I think that once things started getting moving, she saw the opportunity. And I think that this was an industry that was long overdue to be reimagined. And I hope that Rubicon has set off a new discussion about better standards in waste, about what it means to do jobs that not a lot of people want to do. I grew up in a union household. I have 19 of my family members worked in an auto plant. And these are the forgotten Americans that do jobs that not a lot of people want to do, just like our waste haulers. And I think giving them a platform through Rubicon, these independent haulers that we empower, we act as jet fuel for them, I think is providing conversation for these hardworking Americans that are forgotten and that need to be celebrated as well.
What are your conversations like, or maybe you don't have any, with the Waste Managements and the Browning Ferrises, the big guys? Do they just totally think you're this disruptor little guy that don't want to have anything to do with you, or how does that go?
Well, we might have to go offline to talk about some of the things I've heard.
Yeah, okay.
But, you know, look, I think that I always say there's enough garbage to go around for everybody. And, you know, Waste Management's got a model. Republic Services has a model. We just have a different approach. We have a digital approach. And I believe that digital versus brick and mortar assets, digital's going to win every time. Our economy tells us that. It's hard to bet against the digital economy. And so I think these have been incredible businesses that have been run. They've been very, very profitable. They've given great returns for their shareholders. We're just running a different play, and we have a totally different business model.
What are the unknown facets of garbage, the unknown problems that exist out there that maybe Americans or people around the world aren't aware of?
You know, just how big of a problem it is. I mean, the average American throws away about 7 pounds of trash a day. So you think about that, it's got to go somewhere. And we are running out of landfill capacity. So we are going to have to challenge corporate America to say, we need to create products that can be repurposed, that can be circular. And we need to look at waste as an opportunity, not something that we throw away, but what is the value that can be extracted from it? And I think it's really a shift in our mindset that the opportunity is right there in front of us. We just got to take it.
All right, and there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Everything you wanted to know about garbage, right there. Please join me in thanking Nate Morris, CEO of Rubicon.
Thanks so much.
Nate.
Great to see you.
Likewise, great. Thank you.